Welcome to our collection conversations, where we discuss artworks that have newly entered the Guggenheim's collection. The theme of this conversation is mutual care, exploring the role that art can play in bringing people together.
My name is Ian Chang, and we're going to talk about Bob, Bag of Beliefs.
Ian, thanks so much for joining me today.
Yeah, my pleasure. Happy to be here.
So we are so glad that Bob, Bag of Beliefs, from 2018-2019 is to be joined the Guggenheim collection. In the past, you were classified as a net art artist, as a post-internet artist. How you position yourself within those definitions?
I feel like these kind of labels are a way to collect a kind of generation of artists that are emerging at a certain time. But the thing that's always driven my work is the aspect of digital art that is dynamic. The expressivity you can get when you have software changing state to actually get at what a dynamic artwork can mean. And you can only get a kind of complex dynamic change that you can't predict when you create enough systems together that produce a certain complexity. Is this tension between the set of procedures, the protocols, the AI models that go into the work, and the chaotic result that often emerges that I have to kind of taper in as a gardener.
Let's delve into Bob. Bob is an artificial intelligence entity that lives in this hybrid environment, and it has infinite duration. Would you like to introduce the work to us?
Sure. Well, in 2017, I had just finished a trilogy of simulations called Emissaries. And those were these big, vast digital ecosystems with flora and fauna that have emergent behaviors. And it was really chaotic. And I thought, I want to really shrink everything down so that the kind of compositional space of the work is just one entity, one character. I thought, if I can make a digital life form where the compositional space is a life, even a very simple animalistic life form that just has these kind of base drives and instincts, maybe this can be a very interesting compositional space to get at questions of AI, embodied AI. You can think of it as an agent who has its own needs and motivations that needs to furnish.
What does it mean caring for Bob? What kind of decisions do you take that his entire consciousness and understanding will be one that cares for his existence?
Well, I conceived of Bob as a kind of animal level intelligence, and very influenced by this idea that to actually get at complex animal behavior, you actually have to conceive of each motivation within the animal as a separate subpersonality, completely obsessed and consumed with a very simple script. In the case of, let's say, the hunger motivation, the desire to eat. And everything to the hunger motivation either looks like a tool for facilitating hunger, an obstacle, or completely irrelevant. Because it made the AI system much simpler and energy efficient. This was a huge insight into architecting Bob and actually making the problem of Bob's intelligence a smaller problem for me to implement and deal with.
So in creating Bob, you worked with an AI that is a combination of neural network and deep learning elements together with symbolic AI. And I want to ask you about the design decisions you made.
I started learning about the work of Richard Evans, who is an AI scientist at DeepMind, and he described in a creature a self-legislating agent, meaning it created through its lifetime a nested set of rules that it was forced to abide by. It's very recursive, meaning one rule builds on top of another rule, then cannibalizes another rule. We adapted this kind of, we called it a rule induction engine. It learns rules and then compulsively applies them to its environment and its world. But the key thing about any creature is you need to furnish motivations, like the need to sleep, the need to eat, the need to explore, the need to deal with threats, so a kind of fight and flight response. And so Bob has to learn the meaning of everything that it encounters, which is an interesting point. What are memories for? I mean, they're for nice memories, remembering nice times, but also to remember things you still have to learn. And so in a way, you could say Bob is trying to constantly minimize what is surprising to it in the environment. Certainty is such a high priority for an animal.
The digital environment provides Bob, on one hand, safe environment, right? But on the other one, it's a constant disorder for him. How would you imagine viewers engage with the work?
But what you see above Bob are these little stars, and these are the shrines, and those shrines are actually user-generated, meaning you can download an app called Bob Shrine, And you can make offerings to Bob. And those offerings are the various objects that then get portaled into and dropped into Bob's environment, and Bob just has to like deal with. Bob is predisposed to try new shrines, but if you like betray Bob's expectations, it will never touch your shrine again. It'll never open that portal again. While Bob is trying to minimize surprise as maybe its main drive, make its environment certain to itself, as an artist, of course I want like weird problems to emerge, which may be very beautiful problems for the artwork, for the benefit of the artwork. It's very yin-yang, right? You need chaos and order, you need the known and the unknown.
Part of the Guggenheim mission statement, of course, in the collection is caring for those digital artworks. And what does it mean caring for Bob to still be alive as our digital environment keeps on changing in terms of conservation?
It's $1 million question. Dynamic software-based art is a huge pain for institutions. I see this as a work of software. I see it as Bob, the thing that I'm most proud of that's encoded in the work, literally the code, is its kind of genotype. I think the most important thing is that I think I've encoded well enough these dynamics that are occurring within Bob, and that visually you will still continue to be able to see those play out in the work. I do think my primary job as an artist is to create a kind of a neurological bridge between myself and the viewer. I wanted to create this space where you could be there 5 minutes, 5 seconds, or for 5 hours. I wanted to create a form that could contain that sort of temporality.
It also translates very beautifully to the way you really create your audience as such. Like you also assign to them the same complexity that you assign to all of the elements of the work, and that's really inspiring. Thank you, Ian. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Noam.
Thanks for joining me.